All right, let's get straight into a topic that's absolutely critical for every single medical professional today: how we protect our patients' data. This isn't just an IT problem. It's really about trust, it's about our ethics, and it's about the law. So, together, we're going to break down the practical, everyday steps you can take to make sure your patients' records are kept safe and secure.
First things first, we have to be crystal clear on this. The information you handle every day, a diagnosis, a lab report, even a simple prescription, is legally classified as sensitive personal data. It's not just another piece of info. It's the intimate story of a person's health, and it demands the highest possible level of care and protection from all of us.
So, why is this so non negotiable? Let's explore the real reasons that data protection has to be a cornerstone of your practice. Because the stakes, for you and for your patients, are probably a lot higher than you think. Look, all of these points are linked, but everything, and I mean everything, starts with trust. When you protect a patient's data, you are preserving the very foundation of that doctor-patient relationship, and that in turn protects your professional standing, it lowers your legal risks, and it makes sure you're following the law. It's all connected. And let's be really direct about the consequences here. A data breach isn't just some small slip-up. It can set off incredibly severe repercussions. We're talking about the possibility of criminal charges, civil lawsuits demanding compensation, and even disciplinary action from medical councils that could put your very license to practice at risk. Okay, so let's zoom in on your specific obligations right here in India. Now, you might be surprised to learn there isn't one single law for health data. Instead, it's a web of different regulations that, together, create a very clear and binding duty of care for every doctor. The best way to think about this is like layers of protection you are legally required to provide. At the core, you have the NMC's Code of Ethics. That's your guiding principle of confidentiality. Then you've got the IT Act, which sets the rules for the digital world. The telemedicine guidelines cover all your virtual consults, and standards like NABH make sure these rules are followed in hospitals. So, how do our rules stack up against global standards, like America's HIPAA or Europe's GDPR? Well, while those foreign laws aren't legally binding on us here, adopting their core ideas, things like really strict access controls and encryption, is fast becoming the mark of a credible, modern, and trustworthy medical practice in India. All right, so we've covered the why and the what. Let's get to the most important part, the how. This section is your practical blueprint, your guide to putting strong data protection into practice in your daily work. So, what exactly are we trying to protect? The scope is way broader than most people realize. It's not just the clinical notes, it's every single lab report, every consent form, every scan, and here's the crucial part: it's also any piece of information, like a name, a phone number, or an address, that can be linked back to an individual patient. Now, the rules for secure storage are the same whether your records are in a dusty filing cabinet or on a brand new computer. For physical records, it means things like locked rooms, restricted keys. For digital, it's about password-protected computers, encrypted hard drives, and using professional EMR systems. And, really importantly, not storing patient data on your personal phone or laptop. Your first line of defense is always strict access control. You have to ask the question, who really needs to see this data? Because not everyone in your clinic needs to see everything. Your receptionist might need billing info, sure, but they probably don't need to see sensitive clinical notes. That's why it's so important to use role-based access, enforce strong passwords, and never, ever, ever share your login details. Data is at its most vulnerable when it's moving from one place to another. So you have to stop and think before you hit send. That means avoiding unsecured email and definitely avoiding casual sharing on apps like WhatsApp. The right way to do it? Use password-protected files and always use verified, secure platforms for sharing any patient information. Now, let's talk about the common pitfalls. These are those little, everyday habits that can seem totally harmless, but actually create huge security risks in your practice. It sounds so basic, right? But it's a huge risk. A patient file just left open on a desk in a busy clinic or a hallway is a very simple, very clear breach of confidentiality. Always, always practice a clean desk policy. I get it. The convenience of WhatsApp is so tempting, but it is just not a secure channel for medical data, period. Sharing sensitive reports this way breaks that chain of security and can easily expose private information to people who should not see it. That clinical photo you took for medical reasons, it does not belong in your personal phone's gallery mixed in with your family vacation pictures. It's part of the medical record, and it has to be stored with the same level of security as everything else.
Think of an unsecured Wi-Fi network like a public broadcast. Any information you send over it, including patient data from your EMR system, can potentially be picked up by someone else. You have to make sure your clinic's network is secure and encrypted.
And finally, just remember that confidentiality isn't only digital. Discussing a patient's case in any public-facing area, like the reception, an elevator, or the cafeteria, is a verbal data breach. It's a serious violation of their privacy. Okay, let's bring all of this together. All these practical steps, all these legal rules, they aren't just bureaucratic hurdles to jump over. They are the modern way we express a timeless ethical duty that sits at the very heart of medicine. Ultimately, data protection is about upholding your patient's fundamental rights. Remember, they trust you not just with their physical health, but with their most private information. So upholding their right to access, their right to know, and their right to confidentiality is a core part of providing excellent care. If you take away just one thing today, let it be this. Protecting your patient's data goes so far beyond just following the law. It is a profound moral responsibility, and it's absolutely essential for maintaining the dignity and trust that our profession is built on. Your Midlier, protecting doctors, empowering patients.